Welcome back to Leveraging Leadership, where we unpack the art of business leadership. I'm your host, Emily Sander, Chief of Staff turned Executive Leadership Coach. I work with people to help them step into effective leadership and realize their professional and personal goals. If you have known failure and success, if you have had good bosses and bad bosses, if you are a high achiever and want new ideas, and if you want the practical and tactical side of things, then you are in the right place. This show is all about finding your points of greatest influence and leveraging them to better serve those around you. Would you like to have more confidence? If you had more confidence, how would you be doing life differently? Would you be showing up differently? Would you be making different decisions? So I want to talk to you about the confidence gap. So the confidence gap is the main principle, framework, element that we're going to be working with. And there is a book by Russ Harris by the same name, The Confidence Gap, which is very good. So I'd encourage you to go read that right after this episode. So what is the confidence gap? The confidence gap says most people wait for the feelings of confidence before they go do something. They're like, I don't feel confident. I don't feel good about that. Ooh, I am not ready for that. Let me just wait. Let me just stand on the sidelines and wait until I feel confident before I ever go dare to do that thing. And that's the confidence gap, is a gap of understanding. In reality, how you get more confidence is you do the thing. So take action, and the feeling of confidence comes second. So people wait for it because they think it comes first. It really comes second. Act confidently, and the feelings of confidence will follow. All right. So the good news is you have ample evidence of having done this already. If you're sitting there going like, oh, like that's not for me, Emily. You've actually done this dozens, if not hundreds of times already. So if you think about your whole entire life, including your childhood and teenage years and growing up and all that stuff, you have examples like tying your shoe. Tying your shoe, when you first learned to do that, it was hard and it was difficult and it was not guaranteed that you would get it right every time. When you sat down to tie your shoe, it was like, all right, this one goes across here. This one goes across here. I think they loop around. Did that do it? No. Okay, let me try again. It was not a shoe-in. See what I did there? I didn't even intend to do that, but it wasn't a shoe-in that you were going to tie your shoe successfully every time. A lot of time you needed help from an adult. Now today, let me ask you, how much time and effort did you spend tying your shoes the last time you had to do that? What was like the over under of like, okay, this time, like I'm feeling pretty good. It's like a 90% sure this thing is going to go right. Or like, ooh, like, I don't know. I've been stressed and tired. So this might be a 50-50 shoe tying experience. You probably didn't think about it and it probably went perfectly fine because you've done it over and over and over and over again. It's not a thing. Same thing with learning how to drive. So the first time I learned how to drive, and the first time I merged on a freeway specifically, was a death-defying experience. And I did not think that was going to go well at all. But now when I merge on a freeway, I certainly pay attention, but it's like, I know how to do this. This is not like this is going to go fine. So we have ample evidence of having closed the confidence gap already. So that's the good news. The other news is that you will always have the feeling of fear. So that feeling of, is always going to be there because we're humans and that's a natural, normal reaction. If you don't ever feel fear, that's another issue and it's probably a larger problem you want to address. But feeling fear is very normal. It's a human response. It's a human emotion. So most people's response to fear is unhelpful. So for instance, if there's something, I'm scared of that, that's uncomfortable, I have anxiety, avoidance is a common go-to strategy. So I don't want to look at it. I don't want to think about it. I certainly don't want to engage with it. I'm just going to avoid it. I don't feel well. I might call out sick the day I have to do something. You avoid it at all possible costs. The second reaction might be, all right, I'm scared of this thing. I'm going to ramp myself up. I have to overcome it. I have to beat it down. It's my enemy. I have to fight it and like grit my teeth and white knuckle through it. And that's another go-to strategy. Another common one is Oh, I feel fear. I feel scared. And so therefore it means I'm weak. Because I'm not fully confident, because I feel this, I must not be as strong as those other people. Well, Emily, I look at those other people and look at them. Look at how confident they look. Look at how they do a presentation in front of hundreds of people. I feel fear. I can't possibly be as good as them. I must be weak. I must be less than. Which, by the way, is not true. So all of those default responses are unhelpful. A more helpful thing to consider would be, instead of thinking of fear as my enemy or as an opponent, think about it like a teammate. If fear was your teammate, how would that change the dynamic? And if you're sitting there going like, okay, Emily, fear is a teammate. Isn't that nice? Isn't that cute? Doesn't have anything to do with me or my experience. Well, first of all, I would say you know how your experience has been to date. So all that avoidance, all that try not to engage with it, how's that going for you? If you avoid something and avoid something and avoid something, it often gets bigger and bigger and bigger because you make it bigger and bigger and bigger in your mind, and it gets worse and worse and worse. If you don't believe this 100% today, that's fine. That's totally fine. What I would invite you to consider is saying, is this possible? Is it possible to have a different relationship with fear? Is it possible that you could relate to fear as a teammate instead of an opponent? Okay, fine. Technically speaking, it's in the realm of possibilities. Okay, great. Maybe that's the first step. Maybe have it hover in your map of realm of possibilities and have it sit there for a while and see what happens. Okay, so if we think of fear as a teammate, or at least consider that as a possibility, what is our teammate doing for us? So it's kind of like a tag team. So the fear is like tagging you in, like, all right, teammate, here we go. And what is fear giving you? So if we take a step back and say, in its purest sense, or its like kind of neutral, raw material sense, what is fear? What is it really? Fear is energy. Fear is a huge source and huge surge of energy. And you're like, yes, Emily, I know I felt that energy. It feels like adrenaline and panicky sometimes. But in its essence, it's a whole bunch of energy. Fear also gives you focus. When you are scared of something, the world goes away and you see nothing else but that thing right in front of you. It gives you a tremendous amount of focus. It also gives you alertness. So you're very alert. You're very on point. You're very engaged. So if we think about our teammate saying, hey, like you're in, tagging you in, and I'm giving you a huge source of energy, I'm giving you focus, and I'm giving you alertness. If we think about those three things, are those three things bad? So if we think about fear like that, we can say, okay, my teammate's here and they're getting me ready for a challenge or for something exciting. And by the way, if you think about excitement, maybe you are giving a presentation and you love presenting and you love the topic you're talking about. You could talk about this all day and you can't wait to share it with people. What happens? Well, you get a huge source of energy, like a huge surge of energy before you go on stage. You have focus. You are focused on the talk you're about to give, and you're very alert. So you're engaged with the audience, you're engaged with like where your mic is and what the screen is, all that stuff. So being excited and being enthusiastic about something has very similar, if not the exact same emotions or responses as a fear response. So you can think about your teammate like tagging you in, hey, I'm getting you ready. Let's go. We're about to do something exciting. We're about to do something where we need some energy, focus, and alertness. Okay, so how does all this tie into business and our roles in business, specifically the chief of staff role? So we certainly need to cultivate the habit of being confident as chief of staff, because we are dealing with all sorts of things across the business. We're generalists, we're not specialists. And so we will often be in a room where we don't know the most technical knowledge versus everyone else sitting there. And we still have to feel confident of engaging, asking questions, participating in that conversation without holding back or being too shy. We also need confidence because we speak truth to power with our CEO, with our principals, with our other teammates on the executive team. If we are not confident enough to say, hold up, let's just consider this scenario. Or like, can we at least run through what if this happens? I would like it to go that way, but this is a very real possibility. Let's work through this scenario as well. If you don't do that because you're too scared and you're not confident enough to speak up, your team might suffer for it. You might be hurting your team. It's part of your job as chief of staff. You're in that seat. You have that voice. You're in that position to be able to say, hold on, let's think about this, this, and this. Okay, now we're good to go, but we have a contingency plan for this, this, and this. Great. That's your job. So if that happens and you have to flip over to that contingency plan, there is a plan there because you've spoken up. And same thing with the scenario where you're speaking to a group that might be more technically knowledgeable than you. If you sit there and you say, well, I don't feel good, I feel really anxious, I might look stupid, then I'm not going to say anything, I'm going to avoid this situation. Well, your team is not benefiting from you sitting there not engaging. Now, if you say, okay, I heard, whoa, that was a loud clap. I heard what Emily said, and I am going to work to close this confidence gap in this area. All right, so I feel the fear like, okay, if I say this thing, I might sound really stupid. Everyone's going to look at me funny. They might think of me less. But you know what? I'm going to act in a confident way. I'm going to say, hi, I have a question. Can you just clarify this, this, and this? Okay, got it. So that ties to what we're doing over here in product and finance like this. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, cool. Thank you. So if you do, a bunch of those, or, hey, that's a great point. I just wanted to make sure we're considering the downstream impacts to this customer segment. What are your thoughts? What's your approach there? Those types of things. If you do that over and over and over again, and the first couple of times it might be, okay. But you do that over and over and over again, two things happen. First of all, like anything else, when you practice, you get better. Funny that. So, your 12th time, your 20th time, your 50th time, you are going to be a lot better at speaking up in that group. You're going to feel a lot more comfortable. The second thing is you are building a body of evidence for yourself saying, oh, I can do this. So on the 50th rep that you put in, on the 50th repetition, you might still have that little, I don't know if I want to speak up. I'm not good at speaking up. I can't speak up in group. Wait a minute. But I have done this. I have done this over and over and over again. And the vast majority of the time, it's gone fine to good to great. Like sometimes it unlocks something for the team. So, now I want to question my belief or my go-to thought there if I'm not good at this. So you put that little space, you put a little distance and gap in between, oh, I'm not good at this. Oh, I'm scared of this. Oh, I'm not confident at this. As like, wait a minute, I've actually done this before. I can think back and have evidence, and I feel a bit better about doing this because I've literally done this over and over and over again. Just like tying your shoe over and over and over again. So you have evidence already, you have examples already. So go and look at what you have today and look at what you have coming up in the future of who do I need to be? Where do I need to be more confident? Where would it serve me and or my team well if I were to close some of these confidence gaps and take confident action and know the feeling of confidence will come second? Okay, so that is your takeaway for this episode. It is, where are some areas, or maybe just pick one, where is one area where, yes, I don't feel confident there now, but I do want to build my confidence in that area. What is the next step, even a baby step, to go and do something, go act and go put something out there that says, I'm going to act confidently and prove it to myself. Now, I'm going to intentionally put some action toward it so I can close that confidence gap and build that confidence up. So it's like, of course I do that. Of course I did that. I tied my shoes. I merged on the freeway. I spoke in the group meeting. It's just what I do. A bonus takeaway, by the way, a bonus takeaway for you is look across your team and say, where can I help some other people close their confidence gaps? People are people. Everyone's feeling this. So where can you help someone come along in their process and maybe encourage them or motivate them or reassure them or challenge them to speak up in the meeting? Hey, you have a lot of valuable things to share. I heard you talk about this to so-and-so in the hallway. we need to hear about this in these team meetings. Like only you would have that information. And it's really important you share. And then after they do it, say that was really helpful. Thank you. I know that it was a little uncomfortable. And even if it doesn't come out perfectly the first couple times, please keep doing that. So help other people close their confidence gaps. All right, go forth, be good chiefs of staff, be great leaders, act confidently, help others act confidently, and I will see you next time on Leveraging Leadership.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.